All right, there we are. Can you all see my screen?
All good.
There we are. All right, brilliant, guys. Welcome everyone. Welcome to webinar 1 of the Life Transforming series. This is webinar 1 of the July challenge. So as a reminder, guys, we have webinars. Only webinar 1 is on a Thursday. We allow for 3 days or the 4th day for people to join till midday. And we are now closed, so this challenge is closed. And anyone that you have in your world or your life that would like to join the challenge, you can invite them onto the September program. But all the other webinars are going to be on a Tuesday, right? The Tuesdays for this one, right, Sachin? Yeah, Tuesdays, 6:30 p.m. And they are all 1 hour, 15 minutes long. So allow 1 hour 15. They'll be between an hour and hour 15. At the end of the webinars, I stay on for another 15 minutes. If anybody has any questions, ideally pertinent to what we've covered on that webinar, and any other questions you can bring to a Friday lunch or a Friday night surgery. And today's webinar and webinar 10 are 2 hours long. Why are they 2 hours long? They're 2 hours long because it's so much fun. Today's introductions, we get to know and hear each of you. And we're going to hear from about 3 or 4 introductions in the main room. And then we're going to go into breakout rooms. And in the breakout rooms, we are going to, you're going to have the same introduction with your group of 3. Apologies, guys, just because I don't have Ambika on today. Is Coach Jigna or Sachin in a position to sort the breakout rooms for when we get there?
Yeah, I can do it.
Yeah, okay, brilliant. All right, so to kick off context, guys, this is on the model of transformative health. We will go through it today and explain what it entails. But really what inspires us is this first half of this beautiful long quote by the Dalai Lama. And that has us focus on the health education side. And really, I want to acknowledge all of you guys for being one of the many in the world, one of the few in the world that have chosen a proactive and a preventative approach. Education and working on the source of what causes optimal health, but also the source of what causes any form of dis-ease is what we're about. And what's out there in the world, often when we go and seek treatment, is dealing with the symptoms. So we tend to go and seek medical or help in the area of health when there's a problem. What we're trying to say is that we can live a lifestyle that prevents those problems, and we get to have a body and a mind that serves us. The Dalai Lama, when asked what surprised him most, answered, man, because he sacrifices his health in order to make money, then he sacrifices money to recuperate his health. Exactly as I experienced, and which is what led to the birth of FITBANKER. Most of you would have joined here having come through a masterclass. Some of you may not have. And even if you didn't have, it's okay. We're going to cover some of the key parts of what was on the masterclass. But what I want you to get is that you're part of a challenge that is not a competition. It's you against the old you, and it's you creating a whole new lifestyle for you. So at the start of every webinar, when you see this slide come on, we're going to have all of you rushing for the virtual hand, raise your hand button. But for webinar 1 today, it's going to be Head Coach Sachin. We're going to have Head Coach Sachin read out this objective slide. And every webinar, whoever reads this out has to beat Sachin's energy. Is that a deal? Have we got a deal on that? Give me a thumbs up, guys. Have we got a deal? All right, awesome. You got to double up Sachin's energy. So Sachin, go for it. You read this out this week. And then every week, somebody else is going to read it out. And then you can share what of the objective have you begun to fulfill upon. But today, when Sachin reads it out, I want all of you to read along. I want all of you to read along and get very clear that this is what we're working on. We're not working on giving you a Cadbury 6-pack chocolate or a 6-pack. We're not working on giving you 10 kg lost. We're working on these objectives. If you focus on these, that stuff is the byproduct. What most of us miss in life is that we put our goal list as our wish list. Your goals and the things you commit to need to be the actions you can take. And the things that we are actionable on, that we can focus on, are this. This is the stuff we need to transform. And Head Coach Sachin, over to you if you want to give a quick intro to who you are and then quickly go through this objective.
Got it. Thanks, Ronnie. So, hey, everyone. If you didn't get to meet me on the meet and greet, my name is Sachin. I am 26 years old, and this is now my 6th FitBanker Challenge. I've essentially gone through all of the hats that you can wear within the FitBanker space as a participant, a coach, assistant head coach, and now this is my third time on a FitBanker 90-day challenge where I'm head coaching. A little bit about my background. I'm an engineer during the day, and in the evenings I teach martial arts. I run my own martial arts school in Edgware in the martial art of Choi Kwang Do, and I'm the youngest master in the world in this martial art. So you'll hopefully get to hear more from me later on during the webinar, but that's a quick, a very brief introduction to who I am. So now going on to the objectives. FitBanker, the life transforming series. Welcome to life. Objective, at the end of this challenge, I will be someone who, 1, has altered my own relationship to food, exercise, and myself. 2, understands the real role of my mind, body, and intellect. My body, mind, and intellect. 3, knows that my environment, community, and conversations dictate the consistency and quality of my health habits. 4, inspires and empowers my community to take on their health too through my social media and in-person sharing to show up as a health leader and go-to person. As a result of me normalizing and sharing my healthy lifestyle, the people in my life and on social media are now inspired and empowered to start living life. Everything is transformable.
Awesome, 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 awesome. Sachin, thank you so much for reading that. I hope you guys all heard his level of energy and self-expression, and whoever is going next week, you want to match or beat that. So reading right from FitBanker down to everything is transformable. What we will do though each week is we want to check in. The next one is on Tuesday, so it's only 4 days away, guys. It's only 4 days in between before the next webinar. So today's assignments, please do take them on as quick as possible because you've got only 4 days to implement them. And next Tuesday we reconnect, and you, one of you would want to read that out. So as a quick reminder about FitBanker, why we exist, and we're going to start with why, because we also want to know your why. Those of you that have completed your questionnaires would have already stated some form of your why. And some people might have stated their what, which is what they want to accomplish rather than their why. And so you can recorrect that with your team when you're assigned to teams. So why do we exist? FitBanker exists to empower humanity to live a life of optimal health, and we intend to do this through lifestyle education. The nature of the education that we deliver to you, when practiced and implemented and discovered through certain assignments experientially, becomes a lifestyle education that lasts a lifetime. And sometimes you need to do it a number of times to get something from consciously knowing what to do to it happens subconsciously. And so hence we have a number of you who are anchoring, which is you're working on making this completely second nature. And we're on a mission to transform 1 billion lives, which is why we are big investing in leaders, in coaches. We have a number of our coaches. We have a coaching body and a program called the Coaching Body, where we empower people to step up and take on being an accountability and performance coach. And it may be something that they want to also step into later, livelihood-wise, but they don't have to. They could choose to just be a leader in their family, in their society, in their community. So what is FitBanker? What have you signed up to when we say, or you tell people about FitBanker? This is how you want to say what we are or what we do. We're an online health, fitness, and lifestyle education that works, and we continually educate ourselves. So we keep updating the content, we keep revising the webinar based on what we find effectively works or doesn't work. What you really, really, really want to know and get very clear what you've signed up to is not about learning some new concepts. You're not here doing a course in biology. You're not training to be a PT or a nutritionist. You will learn a lot that PTs and nutritionists learn that make a difference, but truly this is an implementation structure and an accountability structure. And it's comprised of this online environment, the social media environment, the WhatsApp groups, the Facebook groups. This is your community. This is a new community that you are immersing yourself into. And there are conversations that are had on webinars, on Friday surgeries, on your coaching calls. Those three things lead to the quality and the consistency of the actions you take each week that we call habits. And those habits are, upheld by your conversations with your accountability coaches, the social media, the tech we use, the apps we use, and webinars like this. We are also a movement. We're a movement of empowering and growing community of health leaders that are stepping up to transform their own health and be the change we want to see in the world. I do truly want to see this kind of education become mainstream, because we have nothing that we're hiding around this. We explain the science behind everything. There's no secret potion. There is no gimmickry behind this. Everything is science-based, and everything we ask you to do, you can question it, you can challenge it, and believe nothing blindly. What we're not is, we're not a gym. We're not offering personal training. I'm not standing here watching you on screen and counting the number of reps you do, but we do live workouts. If you know those that are free, there's a WhatsApp group for that. I hope you've joined that. Otherwise, you can ask, how do I get onto the WhatsApp group where the free workout updates go? And they are live streamed to our Facebook group called FITBANKER, Transforming a Billion Lives. And we do have within our community, or members or participants who've done the program, including amongst our coaches, people who have trained as personal trainers, as nutritionists. There are people who are registered dietitians who've done our program. We have many doctors who have done our program. We have doctors within our coaching body as well. But that by no means that they endorse our program. I'm just letting you know that people have done that, and they have done this program multiple times. And like I said, some step up to be a coach as well. But it's for you to really discover what this program offers you, and you will get out of this program what you put in. Please deal with no FOMO if you miss any part of it, and I'll explain why as we go through today. Put your safety first in all that you do. If you're allergic to something, if you have an injury about something, if you're unsure about a particular exercise or movement, then ask, or if it's allergy or medical related, go and check with your medical healthcare professional. What will cause the most on this challenge? So I'm going to look at this at webinar 10. On webinar 10, I'm going to ask all of you, how many of you attended 10 out of 10 webinars? And about 3 or 4 screen hands will go up. And I'll say, how many of you at least attended 8 out of 10? And probably about 16 to 20 hands will go up. And if you attend or listen to the recordings of at least 8 out of 10, you will really get this program. You will really yield results from this program. And if you miss 6, 7, or 8 webinars and you only attend 2, it's not the end of the world. Deal with no FOMO, please. Please deal with no FOMO at all. And each of us have a different learning style. And sometimes our learning style has also attached to it what's called a self-sabotage mechanism, which is if we don't do it proper, if we don't do it perfect, we go from all in to all out. And so that is something that if you say and reach out to us, hey man, I'm falling behind, I've not been on the first 4 or 5 webinars, can I move? It's been a busy period, unexpected stuff has happened to us. I have good news for you and bad news for you. That unexpected stuff that happens to you is called life. It happens to all of us. All of us are going to be dealing with something. All of us are going to be dealing with, hey, unexpected guests happened. Somebody fell unwell in the family. We had a wedding to attend. We had a medical issue to deal with. We had something happen with my child in school. Whatever happens to you happens to a lot of other people. How we respond to it is what distinguishes us. And we've got a coach who 3 weeks into the program, her mom had a brain tumor and went into coma. And she showed up on every webinar, on every surgery, 2 challenges back to back. The whole period her mom was in coma, and she's taking care of her mom. So it's either you're going to have E for effort or E for excuses, you choose. But this program is not an exam. It's not a course where you're going to be certified at the end of it. This is about your lifestyle. It's about fitting it into all that chaos and hectic stuff going on for you. And the webinars give you the information to implement in that week. And if you miss 4 in a row, still what you get from the webinar you show up on still gives you something to implement. Timeliness. Like I said, on these webinars, today's webinar 1, so we're allowed a couple of minutes before we went live. But dial in 5 minutes before. That's when the waiting room will be open and the webinar will be live, and we will let you in. Whatever you take on the program, you already seen on the WhatsApp group from those that are anchoring. Share a photo of you and your smoothie. Share a photo of something beautiful you see out in nature. Share something you're grateful for. Share your actions, share your learnings. Share what you discover about you. Like people share, man, I can't believe this. I used to eat this, and I was still hungry. And now I realize I'm eating these foods. And I find that I'm getting fuller quicker. I feel like my stomach has shrunk. These are actual statements people say to us, right? And so whatever you discover about yourself, share those. This program is experiential. If you don't take on the assignments, if you read the assignment sheet and you think, okay, I kind of have an idea what that's there for. I know what it's intended to do. I can see why they're asking me to do that. But if you don't do it, you won't get it. You won't discover what there was to discover on there. So please do take on the assignments. And if you come on a webinar and you haven't completed last week's assignments, don't worry. I was an accountant by background. I used to do a lot of cash flow statements. We use this thing called carry forward. So you just carry forward that assignment and you do it later. And there's no harm. There's nothing lost. There's nobody penalized, nobody suspended or expelled. When you share, there are two places from which you share. When you share something on social media or on WhatsApp group, a lot of people are confronted about other people's opinion. We're going to talk about what inhibits your emotional performance and your self-expression. A lot of us don't put stuff on social media because we're so concerned about what that auntie will say. We're so concerned about what that old colleague at work will say. We're so concerned about what our ex will think or say when they see that particular thing. Don't share to impress. Don't share to show off. Share to inspire. Share stuff that you know will add value to other people out there. It will contribute to the day. It will inspire them. It will inspire somebody. You don't have to inspire everybody that watches your story. You don't have to inspire all your friends list. But if you made a difference to anybody, I've had somebody reach out to me about 3 years later of following my stories saying, I've been in depression and I would get on Instagram just to see what you're doing. And now I'm coming out of depression and you've made me start going for a walk. And now I've started running. And I have no idea who this person is. I can't recall the person's name even, but I've gotten those kinds of messages. And I really, really, really invite you guys and implore you guys that today we can use social media as a platform of positive change. So rather than being just a consumer on social media, be a contributor. Uplift and alter the quality of conversations in the world by putting positive content out there. Complete stats from week 3 onwards. You'll be introduced to stats sheets where you record your calories, your steps, your sleep hours, and so on. So you can start to be mindful of, oh, I need to know how long I sleep. Let me check. And as you start to be more mindful of it or notice it, you'll realize, damn, I've been sleeping 5.5 hours all these years. And then you'll realize when you get to the webinar how many hours we do need. Show up on coaching calls. Coaching calls start on week 3, but it's this weekend or early next week, you'll get a list of coaching call slots. Look out for that message when it comes there because it's kind of first come, first serve. So you have X number of coaches, but the coaching call slot you choose and the coach you choose is based on the time you can commit to. Don't worry about who the coach is and don't judge the coach. All right. Don't judge the coach based on what they've done, what their background is, which country they're in. Just choose a call slot that works for you. All our coaches are amazing. And you know what makes amazing coaches? Amazing participants. Yeah, so if you guys show up, then your coach at the end looks like a rock star coach because you guys aced it. And I'm going to keep saying this. What we're delivering is not about the information. It's the implementation. But the information is so key for the implementation. But the information is nothing you're going to be tested on. You can write down notes, but I recommend writing down stuff that sticks out to you as what we call an aha moment. Anything that you're like, oh, wow, I didn't know that. Or it's a calculation, then I have to write that down. Then write those down. We've shared this in the masterclass. We're sharing this again now. What we're focusing on is 6 pillars of health. We have 10 webinars. Those 10 webinars will cover content that covers and includes and is not exhaustive of physical activity, nutrition, sleep. We have sleep on webinar 8. Mind-body connection is webinar 6. And social connection is webinar 9. And then is what you're doing for a life or a living. We're going to ask you to just observe and question what you're doing for a job. Like, is what you get out of bed every day and go and do for a job, is that actually a match to your personality type, to your nature and your purpose? A lot of us get into what I call academic prison because we have an amazing qualification, like I did. And then I added more qualifications because I thought more letters after my name made me feel more equipped and will get me more and more promotions. And then you find that you are too senior up in industry. You can't even move across that same industry to a different company because you're too niched and specialized. And then you're stuck there till the age of 65 or whatever your country's retirement age is. But actually you can leap from a safety net of the world of finance, 6-figure salary, vice president, beautiful place like London, and you can leap into something you have no background in, like health and fitness or leadership or mountaineering. I know people firsthand who've done that. You can make optimal health sustainable. and which is the FITBANKER lifestyle. If you stay true to and connected to your why, your dharma, your raison d'etre, your ikigai, your purpose, then you will know that this thing is just a vessel. This is just a vehicle. I'm just fueling this thing so that I can deliver the reason that I exist for. So that's why we ask you, what's your why? And right now, you might not have this amazing, flowery, worded, perfected definition of why, this big philosophical answer. You might not have that right now, but speculate, start somewhere, take a punt. Like, what would you do if you had that optimal health at a body, mind, and intellect level? What is your why? This beautiful quote by Woodrow Wilson, who's a former US president, but he was also a phenomenal entrepreneur. And as an entrepreneur and a great people's guy, he says, you're not here merely to make a living. You're here in order to enable the world to live more amply, with greater vision, with a finer spirit of hope and achievement. You're here to enrich the world, and you impoverish yourself if you forget that rand. And that applies to all of you. That applied to me when I read this and I thought, I wonder if that applies to me. It applied to me too then, and it applies to all of you. And you guys might think you've just signed up to a health program because you want to lose a little bit of that cheeky fat that doesn't go below your belly button. And then you might actually find a whole new livelihood and purpose to life. And this is why we call it life transforming. But our coaches will continually ask you, what is your why? Because the style of coaching uses what's called a pull factor. They want to keep pulling you to your optimal version so you can execute on your why. So if you put a why on your questionnaire, which said to lose 10 kg, when you meet your coach and get to your team, say, hey, I'd like to reintroduce my why. Today, when we get on to the introduction section, please also think about a different why. Like a way to think about your why is who in this world would benefit because you existed. And what is it you did? How did you do something? How did you live your life that made a difference to those people, right? The wider the people you account for, i.e. humanity at global level, the grander, the bigger the why. Your why is important. As I mentioned, our coaches will be using a pull style of coaching. Pull is opposed to push. They won't be cracking the whip. They won't be scolding you. They won't be punishing you. They won't be penalizing you. They will be reminding you what you said was your purpose, why you exist. If you say you're here because you want to be an exemplary dad, you want to be around for your kids and your grandkids and your great-grandkids, and you want to be a demonstration of an optimal lifestyle plus a phenomenal entrepreneur or politician, then the coach is going to relate to you that way. They're going to speak to you as that phenomenal entrepreneur, as that phenomenal dad. And they're going to invite you regularly to come out of your comfort zone. And we will share with you why the comfort zone is the starting point of all discomfort and dis-ease, i.e. disease. And so our coach's job is to get you, the fish, out of that really small place that you're in and into the big, wide ocean of potential. Those of you that are anchoring, you might be anchoring back to back. You might be anchoring after a long time. You might be getting back into the FITBANKER challenge or community after a while. You might be doing your annual challenge, or every year some people do 2 challenges just to reset wherever they might have moved within this range of optimal body composition. But what you have to remember, a lifestyle change is what we're working on. We're not working on perfection. We're not working on the first time you did it, there was some form of beginner's luck, and then after that you didn't participate properly, and now you're like, let me try that again. A lifestyle change, guys, requires patience. Like when you're learning to ride a bike. When you're learning to ride a bike, the first time you're like consciously remembering pedaling, plus balance, plus being mindful of looking around you, plus how you hold your posture. You're trying to remember all the things mom or dad or whoever taught you how to ride a bike told you the first time. You might need to remember and remind yourself that you don't have those balance wheels at the back. And so the first time you're doing something, you're remembering a lot of stuff of what to do. But after a few times of riding that bike and you start to do stunts and you start to do wheelies, you completely forget all those basics. They're not even things you consider. It is so ingrained in your subconscious that the bike becomes an extension of you. That's what a lifestyle program is like. It's an extension of you. You can't imagine any other way. Like I can't imagine suddenly junk coming into my pantry or my fridge. It seldom comes in. It seldom comes in, right? I don't go to the default old restaurants that I went to. I don't go and hang out in pubs, and I'm not asking you to do that. Those are my preferences. Each of you will have yours. Each of you will create your own subconscious attachments to you, and then it becomes so second nature that that lifestyle program is like the bike attached to the BMX Pro. So we're now going to go into introductions. I hope you guys all saw my introduction where I shared something so embarrassing and humiliating. I hope you all read that. And I shared so many things that I'm proud of and bragging, and would love you all to know about me. And I'm going to go through some of those again today. But each of you, we're going to get 3 or 4 people that would love to introduce themselves to the whole group. So please do raise your virtual hand if you're somebody that wants to introduce yourself. You're going to go after me. I'm going to go first. And we have 3 minutes each to introduce ourselves, and then we're going to go into breakout rooms. So whoever's preparing the breakout rooms, just double check if any people joined after you set them. You may have to reallocate people to the breakout rooms. Okay, so we're going to have Janki who's going to go after me, and then 2 more of you are just reaching out for the virtual hand button, so go for it. But I will kick off with me, and I have 3 minutes to introduce myself. So my name's Ronnie. I am from Zambia. I was in the UK where I started FITBANKER, and FITBANKER is a UK company. My greater why is to empower humanity to discover and live into their unlimited potential. And so whoever I interact with as a human being, whether it's a lady I'm buying groundnuts from on the street, or whether it's somebody I'm meeting in a bank, or somebody in politics that I'm meeting or interacting with, my commitment to them is that if I have an opportunity and if they request it from me, then I would contribute to them tapping into their unlimited potential. FITBANK is just one such vehicle where I'm niching in the area of health, but as we say, it's life transforming. It does impact multiple other areas. What can the team rely on me for? You can all rely on me to get you any and every answer, especially around nutrition or body composition or exercise. And if I don't have the answer right there and then, I will come back to you with the answer. So you can rely on me for that. In any area of my life, what is one thing I'm really proud of and one uncomfortable and embarrassing memory of my past? It's important why we share it this way, guys. I'm going to pause my time as I explain this. It's what we call the Great Wall of China concept. When we were a kid, some trauma happens, something embarrassing happens, something humiliating happens. We put this protective barrier on us. Unfortunately, guys, that inhibits growth. So the Great Wall of China that puts this big fence around it to protect it from invasion also might limit its growth potential. But also with human beings, we do that with our identity, right? And when we do that with our identity, we block contribution in, we also block love in, but we inhibit our own growth. Because most of us grew and discovered our peak in our teens or our 20s or maybe our 30s, and then we just stopped discovering or pushing our boundaries. So we distinguish these peaks that we've reached in life and the lows that we've reached in life, and then we dissociate from them. We are not those. So that's the last part that I want to say, which is, and I am not that past. I'm not part of that past anymore, right? So you are no longer bound by those barriers, by those extremes of you. So one thing I'm really proud of and brag about is, well, I've done Kilimanjaro 8 times. First time I did it over 100 kg, which is still quite a feat for somebody at that weight. I have been acknowledged by the president. I have delivered my baby without being prepared for it, no training. In an emergency, was able to deliver my baby, which was absolutely awesome. Whoever watched the video of me on a natural high that was shared also on the message, well done to you. It's about a 20-something video of me buzzing with natural endorphins after delivering that baby. One uncomfortable and embarrassing memory of my past: growing up under 10, I used to wet my bed a lot, very frequently, and it was embarrassing for me. And growing up with 2 brothers that didn't do this, it felt like I was faulty goods. I was damaged. Whenever we went for sleepovers, I had special arrangements had to be made for me to go and sleep over. And this continued ever so infrequently into my early teens, late into my teens, in my 20s, in my 30s. Very randomly, it would happen. Normally, sometimes when it happens in my 20s and 30s was often associated with alcohol or the cold. But growing up, I thought, this is a flaw about me. This is a fault. Like, they didn't finish manufacturing me on the production line, and then God just handed me down. And so I found a subconscious way to say, nobody will want me now because I'm damaged goods. I've got to find a way to be attractive. And so we make those decisions based on this uncomfortable, embarrassing memory of our past. Another one, it's really not embarrassing. At the moment, it was something I was really proud and used to brag about, which was I infringed the law multiple times. From the age of 15 to 21, I got locked up 5 times. I actually got locked up 4. The 5th time I was a regular customer, so they allowed me to sign in and sign out of the logbook. But it was for multiple things that I did wrong and bad and naughty. And I'm grateful and thankful that I didn't get convicted of any of those. And it allowed me to turn around my life. And what I realized is that I have turned around my life multiple times, like I've done again from banking to what I do now. And I can continually do this. And I subconsciously had a mode of reinventing in the world of transformation till I got into the world of personal development. I could attach language to what I had learned to already do. And so that's my past. Those are my peaks. Those are my shame or embarrassing moments. And I am neither of those. I disidentify with those and I am boundless. So I can continually push for more peaks, or I can handle whatever setbacks I have, and I'm not stopped by any past experience of them. So that's me. I took slightly over 3 minutes with the explainer in between. But next up, we're going to have Janki. Janki, do you mind just updating your name, or should people be calling you Chota?
No, sorry. I was trying to update, but I'm like, I don't want to let me just update it now.
Okay, cool. Is there anybody else who would like to go
Right,
next?
updated my name.
Yeah, you can update your name, but anybody else, whoever's going to go next, please do raise your hand. And I'll also see whether Ambika will be joining us because she's in New Zealand. She might be joining to come and say hi to you guys. Okay, cool. So who would like to, whoever's going next, head coach Sachin, and let's have one more hand raised. Janki, if you can just keep your hand raised so that we see all those that are raising at the top of the screen. And let's have one more hand raised, guys, and then let's have the breakout rooms ready as well. And Kelly, awesome. All right, Janki, over to you. You have 3 minutes. The format is on screen, and everybody, you're going to do this in the breakout rooms. So please take note of the questions, screenshot it if you need to. I will also project this slide into the breakout rooms. And Janki, your 3 minutes begin now.
No pressure. Hi guys, I'm Janki Chotai. I'm currently living in London since 12 years, but originally from India, from Gujarat. My greater why is a bit similar to Ronnie's, to see what best potential I can have. It triggered by pregnancy where I was overweight, postnatal also I was overweight. In last 15 months, I have lost 30 kilo. But more than that, now it's all about like, okay, if I have come this far, like how much more I can push. You just have one life, right? So that's like to see what the best version of myself I can see and push for. So that's my why, and it's like now ingrained in every area. What can the team rely on you for? For any questions, like it's a teamwork. I'm looking for more of like accountability and community. So I'm like active. You might have already seen so many messages from me. So yeah, you can count on me for anything I know. I will share it or try to share it. I'm a good team player, basically. One thing I occasionally brag about is like, just before COVID, I had taken a year off from investment banking to do backpacking. And I did like whole of South America, from Brazil, Argentina, Peru, Machu Picchu, Salt Flats. Then I went to Himalayas to do 1 year of yoga teacher training. I was also a part-time theater actress before, apart from work. So those things before COVID, I really want to start again, but I have too many commitments right now. So maybe once my child is a bit older, maybe that's an excuse. I don't know. But yeah, that I travel a lot by taking breaks. So that's why I was doing contracting, so that I can take a year off and come back, work for a year, take a year off. Uncomfortable memory is, so this is not a big thing I feel now, but at the time, so I have always been like, you know, that skinny sibling. In Gujarat, most of us have like big families. So in family, among all the siblings, I was always skinny. But then in last 2 years, suddenly I was like post-pregnancy, 90 kilo and all. And it was just like before that, I used to give everyone tips and like, well, if anyone is asking anything. So it was quite uncomfortable feeling of like so much weight and not able to move so much. I love running and all those things. So that whole phase was very uncomfortable because I have never been like that heavy before. So yeah, it's not like a big thing now I think back, but it just that phase was, I was constantly like thinking like, oh, everyone is looking at me. I'm sure no one was looking at anyone, but yeah, it was uncomfortable, which is not now. So yeah, thank you
Awesome.
so much.
And you're not your past.
Yes, I'm not my past. Thank you.
Awesome. Awesome, Janaki. Thank you so much. And thank you for leading. Thank you for being the first to have your hand up and leading the first introductions. And so awesome and grateful to have you in the FitBanker community. And so thank you so much for doing that. And you were just at about the 3-minute mark. So brilliant. We're going to have next head coach Sachin and then Kelly. So Sachin, 3 minutes, over to you.
Brilliant. Thanks, Ronnie. So hey, everyone. I am Sachin. I'm based in London. So my greater why is to be the best version of myself, both physically and mentally, so that I'm able to support my family and my community, my students, to allow them to step into being the best versions of themselves that they can possibly be. So what can you rely on me for? You can rely on me to be your biggest cheerleader, to see you from where you are today to where you want to be come the end of this 90-day challenge. I'll be there to support, guide, empower you, call you out when things may not be going to plan. And I'll be there to make sure that you're able to get back onto your own 2 feet, because you're going to make this happen for you. So areas of my life that I would brag about, or that I do brag about, being the youngest master in the world in the martial art of Choi Kwang Do, also running my own martial arts school, which continues to cause me to learn how to run a business, right? My background is in engineering, and actually being a martial arts school owner is really pushing me out of my comfort zone, and it's actually making me appreciate different areas of my life and giving me new skills in terms of being able to develop a website, understand how to optimize being searched on Google. Yeah, it's just giving me a whole bank of skills that I wouldn't have without the business, right? So running a successful business that continues to educate me and allow me to grow my skill set. So the thing that I'm probably most uncomfortable about, and this has changed for me since my last challenges, because I never shared this before, this first time I'm going to share it, is back in 2021, I had been celebrating with family, and part of the celebration involved drinking, okay? And in a sort of situation where I overdrank, I got very angry with a family member, a very close family member, and my anger turned more so into rage. And it led to me being violent towards the family member, where we essentially squared up to each other, and we were about to get into a very physical confrontation. And yeah, it left me with a very, very strong sense of guilt. Made me feel very uncomfortable around this family member, and it's taken a lot to be able to get over that situation, and also remind myself that I'm not that person anymore, that I'm very much in control of my actions, and that actually, even if I'm angry in any state, there's always a better way to deal with it. And yeah, so that's a embarrassing memory of myself, something I'm not too proud of, but as Ronnie shared with Janky, it's my past, it's not my present, and it's not who I am today.
Awesome, head coach Sachin. And what I want to share about that as well, guys, is that any uncomfortable or anything you've done that puts you in your mind in some form of naughty, bad, wrong, not a good boy, even if you had that anger, rage, I truly believe that what we're on is a journey of self-awareness. We may have some of that show up again for us. So it's not to avoid it. Like if something like that ever shows up for you again, you just want to continually keep learning from that. We're not here trying to make monks out of people or put you in a good or bad category or morally judge or assess you, right? What we want to understand is we're working on ourselves, and that we can own all aspects of us, the pros, the cons, the good, the bad. We can see all the dark side and the shadow and have total ownership of that. And then when we can, then we have something that we can work and mold and transform. So thank you so much, Head Coach Sachin, and thanks for sharing it this time round. I just want to check, Sachin, are you also by any chance the youngest FitBanker coach, or has there been somebody younger than you?
I'm definitely the youngest FitBanker head coach. I think I'm
He
the
is the
youngest coach
youngest
as
coach.
well.
Why is that on your brag list? Why is the black belt martial arts the thing that you brag? You need to say, I'm the youngest FitBanker coach. I'm the youngest FitBanker head coach. That should come on your next introduction now.
You know what it is, Ronnie? I used to not do the youngest master and used to do the youngest coach, and then everyone kept telling me I have to do the youngest master. So they're interchangeable, right?
Absolutely. All right. Awesome. Thanks, Coach Sachin. Please do keep the breakout rooms ready. We're going to have Kelly. Kelly, if you can come on camera, it will be good for all of us to see you. There we are.
Is that there?
Yeah, we see you and we hear you. You're on mute again.
Okay. You do hear me?
Yeah,
Can you hear me now?
we can.
Okay. I'm Kelly Kent. I'm from South Carolina in the United States. The greater why for me is just I'm 52 years old and I feel terrible most of the time. So I, have switched from just wanting to be thin to wanting to feel better and to be healthy for my family. I'm married. I have 4 children. After I had my second child, I had a good bit of postpartum depression. Went on antidepressants, and during that time, probably in the matter of 5 years, gained 100 pounds. And so for several years, I went back and forth between, do I want to feel depressed or do I want to carry around this extra weight? And so that's been a constant struggle for a long time. But in the process of raising my children over the last 20 years, I just kind of got lost in the shuffle. So my biggest why is just I want to be there for those children, to be there for those grandchildren. I guess the thing that I would brag about at this point, I am a registered nurse. So during the whole course of the pandemic, my intensive care unit where I work in Lexington, South Carolina, was the COVID ICU. So throughout the whole pandemic, we treated those patients, and it was an extremely challenging, stressful time, very emotionally draining on all of us. I know for myself, I have a lot of trauma that I experienced from that. But in the midst of it, what I would brag about would be that I felt like I was able to bring peace and calm and comfort to people who were dying and who could not be there with their families, and to also comfort those families and just be the bridge between the patients and the families when they couldn't be together. And I feel like we as a unit did that very well, but I also felt like I, for whatever reason, just had a really strong sense of connecting with those people. I think my most embarrassing in general is just, you go into a room and you immediately assess, am I the biggest person here? And over the years, I feel like I have become that person. And so that's embarrassing. More specifically, I love to travel. London is probably my favorite place in the whole world. And so recently in January when I was traveling, I was embarrassed to have to ask for the seatbelt expander. So I bought my own so that I wouldn't have to ask, and tried to be really discreet about it. But the last time I traveled to London, the one of the flight attendants saw it on me, and I had to move from the seat I was sitting in because I didn't realize I wasn't supposed to be in that particular seat with the seat expander. So that was pretty embarrassing. I felt like drew a lot of attention to me. I think someone already said you feel like everyone is critiquing you and thinking things about you, and when it's really, when they're really not. But there are certain times when you feel like everyone is looking and everyone's thinking about what you're doing or how you look. So that's me. I hope that I can bring a lot of encouragement to other people, and I'm just looking forward to doing this with everyone.
Wow, Kelly, such powerful introduction and such authentic, powerful, vulnerable, and generous share. Thank you so much. You really
Thank you.
set an amazing precedent. Did you find out about us through Carol and Rohan?
I found out about you through Carol Choi.
All right.
She is, just have to say about her, she is an amazing person. She led our team through that whole pandemic and just was just a great leader, and she's just not scared of anything and just really did a great job. Amazing person.
Awesome.
But yes.
Awesome. I'm grateful to Carol for having brought you to the FITBANKER community, and thank you so much for the powerful share. So powerful, so on point. And what I want you to get, Kelly, the reason we're doing this is that none of us are fixed objects. We're not fixed entities. We're permeable and transformable. So the reason you want to distinguish this is that all that you see and say that you are, and in the room, I've been this, and anything you say that I am and I'm always and I have been and I keep XYZ, any words that you say about you that relate to you as a fixed object, today's webinar is focusing on debunking limiting beliefs. So we're going to go into that in more depth later, but this is why we want these introductions to be shared. So we distinguish, how do we identify as ourselves that part of me or my past is a fixed part of me, and it isn't, right? There is no transformation possible if we see ourselves as a repetitive thing that continues into the future just the way the past has been. We're not, right? Otherwise, everything wouldn't be transformable, and yet everything is. So such a powerful share, Kelly. All right, guys, we're now going to go into breakout rooms, and we're going to do the same. You have 9 minutes in your breakout room, and as you go into a breakout room, please see what's on screen. There are effectively 5 pointers that you're sharing on: who you are, where you're from, your why, what can the team count on you for. I need you to remember what you tell the team you can be counted on for, because around about webinar 7, webinar 8, they're going to be looking for you in this room to see if what you said you can be counted on for. You're around to be there for what you said you can be counted on for. So please remember what you say you can be counted on for. And as you go into your rooms, you have 9 minutes each, 3 minutes. So whoever's the timekeeper, when there's 1 minute left, start to hold your hand up like that. All right, so there's a minute left. And the person that is going first when you're in the breakout rooms is the person with the shortest hair, and the timekeeper is the person with the longest hair. And we're going to have 3 people stay in this main room. Of course, we're recording for our teammates that are not live on today. So your version that you share in this room that you stay here will also be the one that's on the recording, for the benefit of others to hear your introductions as well. Head coach Sachin, are we good with the breakout rooms?
Yeah, all good, Ronnie. I'm just going to open them all up. So yeah, we'll send a message when you first 3 minutes are done, and then the next 3, and when you're into the last couple of minutes. So rooms are open. Enjoy, share away, everyone.
All right. Please click on the prompt to go into your respective breakout rooms. All right, cool. Do we have, we should have 3 people remaining here. Vabes, do we have you in our room? And who else? I hope none of you don't have a prompt.
Yes, I think so.
Dr. Muruga, Lloyd, and Pana, do either of you have a prompt? Okay, So we've got Lloyd, Vabes, and Panna. You guys are here. All right, brilliant. So go for it. I'll leave it over to you. I'm on mute. You guys can figure out who has the shortest and who has the longest.
All right, I think Lloyd's got the shortest and Panna's got the longest. So Panna is the timekeeper. Lloyd, you go first.
All right, nice to meet you guys. I'm Lloyd. I'm from London. I know you vibes from the last challenge. Let me have a look at the questions. My mind's gone blank. Okay, my greater why. My greater why is definitely the first thing that comes to my mind is my son, who's 10, Noah, and my wife. And in the questionnaire before the challenge, like there's a question like, who banks on your fitness, who banks on my health, and those are the two people that really come to mind straight away. And I just really want to live a healthier life, and be more. I want to be able to, like, I can go to the park with my son, but I want to have more energy. There are some things which are starting to creep in now. Like my last time I went to the doctors, like my blood pressure had gone up. They did some liver function tests and they said those are a bit high and things like that. So these things are starting to creep in now as, I've put on weight and I've not lost that weight. And I know that if I don't do anything about it now, then things will just continue in that, same trajectory, really. Sorry, it's only a few minutes for me to do this, isn't it? I'm going on a bit. What can the team rely on me for? I think not to give up. I think I'm committed to this journey until I get the results that I want. I know that, like, I was talking to my brother-in-law, who's done this program before, and he was saying, like, it's not a weight loss program, FITBANKER. It's not just that, but I think I'm very fixated on that, so I think I need to look at that. But I think I'm really committed to not giving up and to keep going until I get the results that I want. So yeah. So who wants to go next?
You haven't answered all the questions, Lloyd. One thing you're proud of, an embarrassing moment.
Oh yeah.
You got a minute. You can rattle off.
45 seconds.
Well, I mean, my health. I suppose what I said about my health, that could be my something that I'm uncomfortable with. And they did an ultrasound on my liver, and they said that it's like fatty liver.
Okay.
Apparently, that's very common in the Western world, becoming more and more common. But that's another thing that that could be physically, tangibly measured. That I could reverse that, and that could be a result from this program as well. Something I'm proud of. Oh, I don't know. Nothing's coming to mind right now. What can I brag about? I can't think of anything.
Saying the 3 minutes are up.
All right. Thank you. Thank you, Lloyd. Thank you, Lloyd. That's powerful share. So it's probably me going next, Panna?
Yeah, why not? Yeah.
All right. Okay. My name is Vaibhav Naregal. In short, Vibes, or the good vibes, that as people call me. I'm from Mumbai, originally in London for the last 20 years. My greater why is I want to be a role model to my family and my kids. I've been pretty bad with everything that I did in the past, in terms of partying, in terms of drinking, in terms of eating. I used to be obese. I want to change that. I want to see that my kids look up to me and make a shift in their lives as well. I mean, for them, it's like, if dad can do it, we should be able to do it. I want to be a role model to them. I want to be an inspiration to my friends as well. So that's my greater why. What can the team rely on me on? In inspiration and motivation, I am completely committed to this. I will keep posting. I will keep inspiring. I will keep motivating. And if anyone has anything to share or speak to me about, even if it's a one-on-one, I would be very open, and I will commit to responding and helping people out if they need help. So that's what you can rely on me for. one thing I'm really proud of, kind of relates with the embarrassing journey. So I'll start with the embarrassing. Embarrassing is, as a college years, I was very good during my school years. I was top ranking, second rank, third rank. When I went to college, I completely tumbled. Something went wrong. I don't know. I started dating or whatever that is, but I really went downhill. I lost a couple of years in engineering, and it was really embarrassing to the extent that I was pretty suicidal, saying, "Shit, I can't even make my parents proud." I mean, it was so embarrassing that I was ready to give up on life. I mean, it was that bad. And flip that on, and what I'm really proud of is, because of those downfalls and pitfalls, I have emerged as a very, very successful person. I'm doing very well in life. It has completely changed my outlook. I'm transforming myself, from a health perspective as well. So I'm really happy to brag about that. So, Panna, you're the only person I haven't met here. Lloyd's been on my team before, so really, really nice meeting you, and welcome to the team.
Nice to meet you.
That's me. 3 minutes.
We got 30 seconds.
No, I'm done.
Okay. I'll go next. My name's Panna. I was actually from Luanshya in Zambia. And I came here as a teenager. I live in Guildford in Surrey. I've got 2 girls, 21 and 18. My greater why, I had something which was just, getting healthier, basically, because I'm at the age where I'm sort of I'm diabetic now, but I'm also borderline high blood pressure, cholesterol. So I thought it's time I did something about my health. I didn't want to go down the route of medication, although we have pharmacies and diabetes company. So, I would be giving ourselves business, but I didn't want to go down that route. So I think that was my sort of calling. And I actually thought I was joining a weight loss thing, but this is actually something else. What can the team rely? I think I'm a good organizer. I mean, my friends call me 999, so if anybody needs anything, they usually call me, and sometimes I have the answer. So I'm good with sharing whatever knowledge I have. Let me go with the embarrassing thing. I was once sponsoring an event, and I was unexpectedly called up on stage in front of 500 people to say something about our company. And I went there and I froze, and I couldn't say anything. And I walked off stage without saying anything. And I still sort of think, oh my God, if I could speak in public, that would be like a great thing. I'd like to go back one day and maybe speak. The brag. I'm very involved in a charity in Tanzania where we've sort of set up a village in Kikau where we serve 10,000 people with the school, education, health. So that's my sort of part-time thing, and I would love to do something in Zambia one day. Back to my roots.
Awesome.
Nice. Awesome. Panna, I didn't know you're from Luanshya. How did you find out about FITBANKER? Luanshya, guys, by the way, is a town in Zambia, and it's about 50 kilometers from where I am.
Yeah,
Oh.
I just came across Ambika, as I said, accidentally, and she was in Kitwe, so I thought, like Africa, Luanshya, Zambia. So I started following her. And she mentioned this FITBANKER the day before it started. So I just impulsively joined, thinking it was a weight loss thing, but it's something else.
Well, weight loss is a small part of it. The weight loss is guaranteed if you do the program by design.
Yeah.
But it's going to be a lot. It's going to be so much more. And what you say about you going on stage and speaking is you should. I'm telling you now. Look out for our coaching body when we start to talk about it.
Okay.
But so awesome to hear that you found out about this on Instagram and social media.
Yeah.
And joined. Ambi, were you already connected to Panna?
Yeah. Hey, Panna. So great to connect.
Hi.
We connected purely on social media, on Instagram. And she messaged me last week as I got on the plane to come to New Zealand. And we exchanged a few messages, and by the time I landed here 50 hours later, she was signed up from the post, which is amazing. And Pana, you know what? The goal for you, just a quick offer, it may occur like, hey, I want to focus on weight loss, but I promise you, what you're going to shed, as Vebs just said, and hey, Vebs and Lloyd, just so great to see you guys, is so much more. So I'm thrilled you're in the right room, in the right space, and well done for just jumping right in.
Thank you.
I just wanted to add, Panna, I was in the same boat in 2021. I was in a dark space. Slightly different. I was drinking a lot. I had cholesterol. I had all of that, cholesterol and BP.
Yeah.
I joined the program. My blood markers at the end of the third month were completely reversed. So you are absolutely in the right spot, and just do it by design, and you'll love it.
Yeah. Great. Thanks.
And by the way, I'm from Guildford as well. Guildford's next door. Sorry.
Okay.
So you have a walking buddy there now.
Yeah.
Guildford's. I'm in West Byfleet, very close to Guildford.
Oh wow. Yeah, I'm in Warpiston, so not far.
Cool. So when you're here, let me know. Yeah.
Sure.
All right, awesome, guys. We've still got some people coming back from the breakout rooms. Doesn't let me close them all. I'll be here in 20 seconds. Welcome back, everyone. I hope we all got to share. Is there anybody that didn't get to share in the breakout rooms? Anyone didn't get to share? Ambika, we're going to have your intro now, so please be ready. Be good if you can do it in the format on screen as well, and so that everyone gets to get a sense of who you are as well. Let's just see that they're all back. All the breakout rooms are closed. All right, brilliant, guys. Welcome back, everyone. I hope you all got to share. We now have also Ambika on. Ambika's in a different time zone. She's not scheduled to be on this webinar for the full length. She's just come off another program that she's running off that webinar, but she's on now. I just wanted her to give a very quick intro so you get a sense of who Ambika is, and she'll be interacting with you a lot more over this program as well. She'll be running a couple of webinars. When I'm up on the mountain, she will be probably covering a bit more stuff as well while I'm there, in addition to other coaches in our body. But Ambika, do you want to quickly go through and introduce yourself? You got 3 minutes.
Yes, sure. Hi, everybody. Greetings from New Zealand, the other end of the world. My name is Ambika. I am from Zambia, currently in New Zealand, and lived across 4 continents. My greater why is that every single human being returns to their authentic self, which is really operating from a place of love and power and freedom and joy, grounded in just who you're born to be in every moment. Why that's important to me is because I spent 30 years of my life operating from a space of fear, trying to belong, conform, be everything and anything that's not me. I've got a doctorate in gynecology. That was also in pursuit of just becoming a somebody, only to find out when I got the doctorate, it felt like an anticlimax. And it was like, is this it? Maybe I should go do an MBA, and then maybe I'll feel like a somebody. And every promotion and every bonus or relationship accomplishment or whatever never felt enough. And the disease of not feeling enough plagues all of humanity in this day and age, is 100% correlated to the disempowering state that every human being experiences themselves in, is because there's a fractured relationship to self. And so I'm committed that human beings heal their most important relationship, which is relationship to self. What you can rely on me for anytime is when you're feeling emotionally unstable, disempowered, confronted. Of course, you guys have your coaches on the program. And if I can ever be an additional resource, make a request off of your coach and we can have that conversation. And of course, they are your first point of contact, but I'm here to serve you and make a difference. One thing I really want to brag about is over the last 10 years of having done work in the personal development world and really taken myself on and really exploring who Ambika is, why am I here, who am I here to serve, what's my calling, what's my purpose, is the working on the muscle that you guys get to do on this program, which is not just physical, but mental, emotional as well, is, give me a second. Is to have the emotional ability to get through situations. So I don't know if Ronnie's brag was the same share. I missed the start, but we delivered our second born at home, which was never planned. In lockdown, we never made it to the hospital. He was 10 days early. We never made it to the Uber. I never got beyond the foyer. But to trust the universe and to really apply every single tool I had in my toolkit around breathing and mastery of the mind and be in a partnership with somebody else, in this case, my husband and the midwife on the phone, was one of the most extraordinary experiences where I didn't experience Ambika in the room. It was just a higher presence and energy. And our kid was born in like 17 minutes, which was a contrast to our firstborn, who was born in 52 hours of labor. So proud of just a bit, like able to put into practice mind tools, which you will get access to some of on this program. And then one embarrassing memory of my past is inspired by earlier shares today, was in this journey of trying to become a somebody when I was in the medical world. I used to go and do medical conferences, talk about our innovations and our breakthroughs. And I vividly remember being in Australia while I was doing my PhD, presenting on one of the papers we were about to publish. And I had mastered my work and what my field was. And I finished the presentation, and then there's 5 minutes for question and answers. And the fear of getting it wrong paralyzed me to the extent that I couldn't answer the very first question that came my way. I knew the answer, but just the fear of getting it wrong was so paralyzing. I stood there in dead silence. And that experience stayed with me for so long, because in the moment I felt like a loser, I felt like a nobody, I felt like I'd come so far and yet not moved at all. It felt like the 5-year-old Ambika in the room who didn't know anything, who was an uncool kid, who was dumb, who was stupid, and all those adjectives I'd use for myself. And whilst that is an embarrassing memory, I also am grateful because it also showed me parts of me that I needed to heal as an adult, which is the work I've been doing on myself and in teaching others over the past decade. And that's it for me. Thrilled to connect with you all. Well done for taking yourselves on. We look forward to serving you.
All right, awesome. And as we do our intros, reminder, guys, we are not our past. That's something we need to tell ourselves. So we're not bound by that story as a fixed piece attached to us. I think the only difference, Ambi, between what you shared and I shared is that my brag was that I delivered the baby. You just happened to be there on the scene. And when you and all the midwives from Chelsea and Westminster were left in charge of delivery, you took 52 hours. When I was involved, it took 17 minutes. So let's just clarify that so we all know who delivered the baby. Ambi wasn't in a state to have very strong memory, so we pardon and forgive her misrepresentation of that, but that was my brag, and we're going to keep it that way. So as a reminder, guys, in terms of what's possible on the program, and when you look at people who've done the program and you're signing up, and at Webinar 1, sometimes people are wondering, is this the one that I want? Am I going to get what I want, what I need? I want to remind all of you that people who have done this program are people just like you and me. They had no preparation, no athletic background, no genetic gift. This is a Dr. Diksha Patel, who did one of our first programs, lost 9.1 kg. This is Andrew Walker. He's somebody who wanted to transform, go into acting. Today he acts in musicals. He was in the musical Priscilla that performed, I think it was in Manchester. And now he's recently been in some others, post his transformation. This is Ellie. She also wanted to get into acting. So when I say to you, you guys have no idea what could happen after you. After, play all out. Get connected to the authentic you. Get connected and stay true to your why, but really play all out. And at the foundation of that, you need to have a powerful relationship to yourself. And that starts off with this vessel. This vehicle can do what you task it to do. It can stand on stage and speak. It can stand on stage and perform. It can climb mountains. It can start a new business. It can do whatever you ask it to do. If you really work on understanding how you can optimize that vessel and that vehicle. Again, these Dr. Sijo Prakatil and Dr. Jamin Brumper, doctors that did this, urologist, the guy on the left lost 53 pounds, the guy on the right lost 36 pounds. And so weight loss is completely a part of this, but it's a small part of it. It's who you get to be post that transformation. This is Rebecca, somebody who did our program initially as a vegan. This is Anoli. 1/3 of this lady disappeared. So she started off, she signed up at 75 kilos. She finished at 49 kg, right? So 1/3 of her has gone post her transformation. Then this old man who I call Dad, he started at 92, 93 kg on cholesterol statins, high BP medication. Every year there was something going on with Dad, like he was hospitalized, his BP went up, he broke sweat, he had a blackout while driving, he had to be flown out for medical. That was just the norm. And that, by the way, is the norm in our community, of our uncles, of our elders. And at 71, he finished the first 4.5 months of his program. And we have not had that for Dad. We have not had any unpredictable. At the age of 76, we took him up Mount Kilimanjaro. And my invitation to him was be around to be granddad. Like, I never got to meet his father. We just heard about that, my paternal granddad, in stories. He never got to meet his own grandfather. So subconsciously, he's won the race of 3 generations because, hey, he outlived them by a number of years. But none of us had kids, and none of us were expecting at the time when he started his challenge. And I asked him to take on his well-being, to be around. And he's now 78 years old, and he's 7 years off medication, like completely off high BP medication, off cholesterol statins. He has not had an instance of any of that recurring, and he's had regular checks. He's not had an unexplained and unexpected hospitalization or a medical emergency that's happened to him as a result. And at 78, I can honestly say that we experienced the healthiest version of him. I wish we had that healthy version of him when he was in his 40s, when he was in his 50s, when we were young and we were teens and we could play sport with him, but we didn't. And now we do. And my kids get to benefit from his level of health and fitness. This is Urvi, somebody as a mom who started while breastfeeding her second born. And if any of you are going to look for some kind of reason to be off the program, her mom on the 3rd week of the challenge had a brain tumor, went into coma, had a fit, and then went into coma. And she was in a coma for about a number of weeks, maybe a couple of months. And she did 2 challenges back to back, showed up on every webinar while taking care of her mom, joining even from hospital if she needed to, joining on Friday night surgeries. And now she's one of our coaches, and she's at the source of a multitude of lives that have taken on the FitBanker Challenge from Kenya. There's Viera, who's also a business partner of ours now. We run a program with her called the Coaching Body, which me, Ambika, and her have launched. And this is empowering coaches to take on and get certified and accredited as a coach. So you may or may not choose to do it as a livelihood, or you may choose to be a business partner of FitBanker through that entity. So that's something we will talk to you about later on as you go through your FitBanker journey. This is Vijay, somebody who's anchoring on this challenge. Is he on today, or is he doing this bit on catch up? I'm not sure if he's on, but he smashed, when the time he did it, he was the overall record holder of weight loss at that time. He lost 25.3 kg in 90 days. He went on to lose more. Him and his wife both did it. They were both coaches with FitBanker. He's anchoring again. And so this is about 1.5 years ago. He's back in the community taking on his health. And he shared on the meet and greet, those of you that met him there, that inside of the community, he reached his peak state. Inside of the community, he got all his bloods to peak, completely clean of anything. And now something in his bloods has returned, and he's brought himself back to the FitBanker community. This is JC, who lost 26.3 kg, the current overall weight loss record of male and female. And he came shortly after Vijay. And he's also somebody who's been a coach with us. But what I really want you to get, even from Vijay's share, it was in the community that he got to his peak state and got all clear on his bloods. Now, all those results, what causes those amazing, phenomenal results? I really want you to get bullet point number 1. You all are going to be a product, and you all already are a product of your existing environment, your existing community, your existing weekly conversations and daily conversations, and that creates your habits. You are a function of that. Just think about it. Look at where you were last week. Look at what you ate last week. Look at how much you moved or didn't move last week. It was completely a function of the environments you exposed yourself to, the community you met, the conversations you met. If tomorrow you go on holiday, because every year this time of year people go on holiday, and you go on holiday, that environment you meet and what they're eating and what they're doing and what time they're staying up till and what time they're waking up, you'll be a function of that unless you get very clear for yourself. Hang on, I belong to a different community. Not to unfriend anybody or dissociate yourself with them, but to say that you belong to the FitBanker community and there are certain habits and practices that we're committing to over 90 days of this program. What will cause these results is what we call the model of transformative learning. This is where we do some neurosurgery. I'll explain about what I mean by neurosurgery. And that neurosurgery is literally how we rewire our brain. I'm going to explain that and how neuronally you will find new practices and new habits become subconsciously ingrained in you. Our focus is on health, so we will explain everything backed by science. We will give you the science and the maths behind anything that requires any backing. The coaches make a difference, but what makes more of a difference, like I say, what makes a great coach is amazing participants that are coachable. Like, we can't transform you if your view of yourself is you're too busy. We can't transform you if your view of yourself is, but I am default fat. We can't transform you, honestly, if you say, no matter what I try, I've tried everything, this bit of me doesn't disappear. If you believe that more than believe in a program that can transform you, then you will likely yield the result of your most powerful belief system. So this is why today we're looking at limiting beliefs. You want to debunk whatever you believe as a view of yourself. Trust the process. It works. It's worked for thousands of people before you. And what works is being inside of this combustion engine. I'm going to be very straight with you about that. So you can use this combustion engine to get to a particular point in time. Then to stay within your optimal range, you want to leverage environment, community, conversations. And it might be FITBANKER, it might be another environment, community, conversations, but always remember, you will always be a function of that, whichever ones you choose, whichever environment, whichever community, whichever conversations, you will be influenced by that. Be okay with feeling out of your comfort zone. Be okay with sometimes a coach speaking to you in a way that might slightly be confronting, but they will always be polite. And they will be saying or calling you out for being 3 minutes late, or not completing your stats, or not showing up, or checking in on you. But even our coaches, we ask them, like, if we have tried to reach out to one of you a number of times and you're not responding, we can't help those that don't want to cause transformation for themselves, right? So this program works if you show up and if you do it by design, but be okay with being slightly challenged. Don't take it personal. Nobody here is going to give you something personal about you. They're going to give you feedback around your actions or your inaction. So remember that a coach will give you feedback on your action or inaction, and those are not you, right? So they're not having a go at you. If anyone says something to you, please do not take it personal. Our coaches are phenomenal and they are leaders in transformation. And every day is day one. What do we mean by that? If you slip up today, if between now and today you've already had a number of forbidden foods, you had to go to sleep each of these last 3 days with that 70% dark chocolate, which you believe, I can't sleep till I have my 1 cube of 70% dark chocolate. It's not the end of the world. You just hit reset and you start tomorrow. Tomorrow is day one. And when we say that, what we mean is don't use that as an excuse. Don't keep slipping up or being slack in your participation or your effort level with the excuse called, hey, I'll start again tomorrow. These are pitfalls of the program. I really want to draw your attention, guys, to bullet point number 1. There are people that leave the program or drop off the program because they think I need to do it perfect. I need to attend every webinar. I need to nail my steps every day. I need to make sure I do 4 days of resistance training. Damn, I've eaten 3 days of forbidden foods. I'm out. That is completely a pitfall of the program. We're not looking for perfectionists. Perfectionists are people that fear judgment and opinion. We're looking for human beings. We're designed by human beings. We're for human beings. And so you will have human slip up. You will have some unpredictable circumstance happen to you. What will differentiate you is your reaction to it. What will differentiate you is your willingness to get back up and be contributed to and take on the program by design, be coached, and transform your old, what we call a self-sabotage habit. We'll talk about self-sabotage. If you honor your feelings, that's a pitfall. Feelings means, hey, I said I'm going to go for a walk today, but my body's a bit achy and it's a bit cold outside, and look at that weather, it's rainy. Not today. You've honored your feelings. That's a pitfall of transformation. So don't honor your feelings and emotions. I'm not saying don't listen to your feelings and emotions. I'm not saying if you're going through a hard phase or if you're feeling down that you can't express that or you can't share with somebody that you're not feeling great. What I'm saying is don't let those dictate you. Don't let those inhibit you. Don't let those limit you. No, you can go beyond them. And this will make more sense. As we said, one of the objectives was to understand the real role of your body, your mind, and your intellect. Your mind or your brain's job is to protect the body. So it will project some form of reason to stay inside of your comfort zone. If you believe what we say blindly, rather than understanding the underlying science, then it will work short term. And once we are out of your life, all the results you yield will volley back. We need you to understand the underlying science so that it lasts beyond you being on a webinar all the time. And by all means, you can be on webinars. We have people in our community for about 6 or 7 years who've done multiple programs, coached on programs, done Kilimanjaro, lead treks. There are people that are, part of the brand FITBANKER. Old knowledge. If you've come on the program with a preconceived notion of oh, I know what this entails, or I did that diet, or I did that particular training program, then you might go and get the printout of what we're asking you to do. And when you get into the gym, you will actually do what you've always done. You will do the old version of what you used to doing in the gym. If you actually read what it asks you to do on the paper, if you actually do what we ask you to do on the webinars and say, okay, this is what they've asked me to do this week. Let me just try that out. Let me try something new. Then you will discover something new. But if you do more of the same, you're going to probably get more of the same. So don't bring your old knowledge here as an inhibitor or limiting factor. Your competitive spirit or your lack thereof. So guess what? Those of you that love a little bit of competition, next week, Wednesday is day 10. Next week, Wednesday is our first progress check-in. We're going to have photos of your day 1 and your day 10, and you're going to have weigh-in. And some of you here, somebody here is going to lose about 5 kg in weight. And those of you that also want to lose weight will come on day 10 and you've lost 800 grams and you'll be like, oh man, this doesn't work for me. And you will feel demotivated because you didn't lose 5 kg. Well, the person that lost 5 kg, by day 30, they lose 10 kg already in 30 days and nobody else is anywhere near them. And because they feel they're in a different league, they suddenly will lose their drive of participating with this community because they will see, I'm performing at a different level. And so sometimes your competitive spirit or your lack thereof can work against you. So really get that we're working on this as a team. It is a community-based program. Whenever something doesn't work for you 1 week, you come on a surgery so you can understand what do we need to tweak around your metrics, your numbers, your steps, your macros, your calories. And that's where the customization happens. If you get triggered by WhatsApp messages, you get triggered by my accent, you get triggered by anything else, somebody asking questions, then it will work against you. We'll talk about triggers that impact your emotional side, that impact your well-being. You not being coachable is a pitfall. You not doing the program by design. Trust the process. It works. There is method behind everything. Just say, I will give this one a go. Like I'll do all they've asked me to do this week, and I will do all they've asked me to do next week, and then wait and see. Watch the staff work on you. Now, adults to learn after they left this physical institution called school or university really need a lot of motive to learn. So adult learners learn in a different way. There are many types of adult learners, but 3 of the main types that we apply in this program is the way adults learn or absorb content is they need to understand why. It's called andragogy. You need to know why you're doing something. Sorry, Ronnie, why are you telling me to do that? I need to know why you're telling me to eat and drink on this particular weekend. So we will tell you on the 5th weekend, eat and drink whatever you want, but just record it. Or we will tell you to go and figure out what activity do you need to do that will get you quickest to a 500 calorie burn. If you understand the why we're asking you to do that, then you will likely do it. If you don't understand why, you may or may not do it, but it might not last. Things you learn through an aha moment, like a realization. So part of self-realization is every time something pops for you, note it down, write it down, but that's what your brain will retain. So any kind of surprise factor, any kind of wow, really? Those moments will retain in your brain. Think about it. All of you guys remember the surprises you've had in your life, whether they were positive or negative. Those are easy to remember. That person that came to visit you, that shock, maybe that scare, maybe a negative one like theft or something like that. We don't forget those moments. But that's also how the brain can work and learn certain things. So anything you learn here that you learn through discovery when you recorded food, wow, I recorded that food, I bought those biscuits and it says no sugar, no added sugar. But actually, it's got loads of sugar. Once I consumed it, I realized that there's loads of sugar in there. Then you realize that you're like, damn, I didn't know that. They said no added sugar, but it has a lot of naturally occurring sugars. And when you learn something that way, you're like, wow, milk has naturally occurring sugars. I didn't know that. And that's when you learn a lot of stuff that retains in the brain. Experiential learning. Tell me and I will forget. Show me and I may remember, but involve me and I will understand. If you take on the assignments, we even have movie nights. We're going to ask you to watch movies. How cool is that? You're on a program and we're going to tell you to watch a movie. You go watch a movie, you learn something on that movie, only if you watch the movie. So watch the movie if we tell you to watch a movie. All right, so how does your brain work? How do your neurons work? Your neurons fire, and the process is called synapses. When 2 brain cells fire, they're making a connection. Something happened and your brain forms an interpretation of it and stores it in memory. That's called that process of those 2 brain cells firing is called a synapse. Now, when that experience happens and you formed an interpretation, and again, you have repeat evidence of that, right? Like say you walked into a room and you saw all eyes look at you and you thought they're looking at me because something about my appearance, you made an interpretation, you put a label to you. That happens again, or your family member said that label to you and you form a conclusion, I am definitely that. And the more that happens to you, you label yourself as, I am a slow runner, I am late with timekeeping, I am overweight, I am greedy, I am bad with money. You start to reinforce them like an affirmation, like a mantra. But what we do on this program is that every time those affirmations happen, they form strong neuronal patterns. And those neurons only learned how to fire a certain way when that topic came up in conversation. So if somebody said to me as a kid, or the word ugly came up, I would think they're talking about me, because as a teenager I had loads of zits and pimples around my face. I would think they're talking about me. I would get very self-conscious about that. And so every time somebody was laughing or sneering or in a room in school, I would think it might be a conversation about me or my appearance. And those neurons of that topic would constantly fire the same neurons. They knew no other way or no other trigger to keep firing the same pattern. But you can have neurons fire in a different pathway. And so those neurons firing the same way create what we call, think of a colander. You know what a colander is? Those things that have holes in them. The water only flows out through set pathways. But if you could change the molds and the holes in the colander, then the water will come out of different locations in there. That's what we're doing on this program. We're going through 3-stage phase of transformation. You first have to bring awareness of everything you know about a particular topic or yourself, like topic of food. What do you know about food? What do you know about exercise? What do you know about yourself? That's fixed. Bring full awareness to that. Once you bring awareness to that, you can commit to a set of actions, or you can create something new around food, or around yourself, or around timekeeping, or around your money habits. Then we want you to put it in existence. To put it into existence is write down what you're going to do differently. Tell a friend, put it in your diary, share on the WhatsApp group. That's called putting something into existence. Journal about it. Journal about the dream that you had. Journal about the fear that you had. And once you do that, you can start to alter the rail track that something repetitively goes on. You can start to create a new track by the C, which is called commit or recommit to something new or different. And then you will create this whole new colander, this whole new mental construct. And this mental construct starts, this is what we call behavioral change. So you might have signed up to a program saying, hey, I'm signing up to this thing because I need to lose 10 kg, and you think it's a weight loss program. Actually, it's a behavioral change program. And I'll explain to you, when we talk of awareness, I want to tell you how, as human beings, we so don't question so much. Think about it. When you were a kid, you were told to eat what's in your plate. You were told to finish off everything. And you were given various reasons to finish them off, what was in your plate. Either you were given some kind of incentive or reward, or a warning about some punishment, or some emotional blackmail called, if you don't finish that, some kid in Africa is going to go hungry. I was told that while in Africa. And it wasn't necessarily true that if I ate what was in my plate, that there would be any saving happening anywhere else, right? It's either was in my plate and it went down me, or it went down the trash can. And what I realized after many years is I was treating this as the trash can. So put any excess leftovers, tip them in here, because we don't want to put them in that trash can, right? So I related to myself as the trash can, and I had to finish everything because we have to be grateful for food, which meant just tip it in you. And suddenly I had this big barrel waistline. And so we're going to explain to you how we move what we're telling you, right? And how we gain mastery around new habits is you have a whole piece of information outside of your world of knowledge. Outside everything that you know, there is unconscious stuff happening. Like I didn't know about this thing called science of body types. It was completely unknown to me. It was in the world of ignorance. It was completely in the dark. I couldn't see it. And consciously is the stuff that we know or we get told. I get told, eat what's there in your plate. I get told, Ronnie, you've got bad genes. I get told, Ronnie, you got flat feet. I get told, Ronnie, you could never be an athlete. I get told, Ronnie, you have thalassemia minor. So you should definitely by default be fatigued, lethargic, and that's why you've been dozing off ever since you were a kid when watching TV. That's consciously known to me. And what we're doing on this program is under the conscious, there is what your brain believes and has reaffirmed for many years, your subconscious. That's your second nature. That's the stuff that's easy for you. That's the stuff you do in routine. That's the stuff you don't even think about. Like I explained about the riding the bike. Once you've done it enough times, you don't even need to think about it. You're just blindly doing it, right? You don't need to think of all the moving pieces of the bike. It just becomes part of you. But what we're going to do on this program is we're going to take that stuff that is unconscious to you and we're going to move it from the unconscious. We're going to present this information on webinars. And the more you practice and implement it, we want to move that stuff from the unconscious into conscious. So if we say, you didn't know how many calories or macros in that food, it's completely unknown to you. Conscious is when you start recording and tracking on MFP. And once you do that over 90 days or over 180 days, over 270 days, some of that enters your subconscious. Then you know by default when you walk into a store, how to select what foods, what aisles to ignore. Like I went into a store yesterday and I just walked past the biscuit aisle. I just walked past the cereal because I know by default in this country, in this place, there is no options there. When I do find new options, we have a WhatsApp group in Zambia of all the fit bankers in Zambia. Hey, this new packet there, this new ingredient there, this available at this particular store. It's all moving from unknown to consciously being aware of it to entering my subconscious. Now, here's an example of how far back we have just inherited stuff and we didn't even question it. Historically, or our bodies, if you think of these as vessels and vehicles, today we're in a comfortable home, there's probably 4 walls, a ceiling, there's Wi-Fi, there's a computer screen in front of us. But historically, we're hunter-gatherers. So this was a piece of machinery to survive the wild. And at that point in time, we moved a lot. We had to move and hunt and gather berries or gather whatever we had to gather. And we spent about 1,000 to 1,500, 2,000 calories a day just to find about 1,000 to 2,000 calories worth of food to put in us just to stay alive, just to survive. So we did a lot of physical movement. We didn't have a lot of mental and emotional burden or stress other than when we were possibly being faced by some, some animal that might attack us. We slept a lot. We had a lot of fun. We reproduced. We had fun and play. We had not invented things to cause mental strain like mortgages or school fees or number of likes on social media or blue tick or no blue tick. We didn't stress about those things when we were hunter-gatherers. Then we moved into the agrarian revolution. Somebody discovered this thing called the seed. And once they discovered that, we were like, phew, we don't need to worry about starvation. Dude over there is going to do our farming and we're going to give him beads. We're going to give him shells. We're going to give him fancy stones. We're going to give him metal that we pulled out of the earth. And he's going to give us the quickest, fastest growing stuff. Historically, a lot of the foods that we got from the agrarian revolution were foods that would grow like wildfire. Wheat and rice and starchy stuff may or may not have exactly been for human consumption, but definitely some of them don't work for today's lifestyle where we're very sedentary. And when we moved into the agrarian revolution, we still did a lot of physical labor, but we were owned by others or told by others or reported to others who told us what to farm, what to eat, what we got, whether we got paid or not, right? This is the history of humanity. And then we moved into what's called the manufacturing era, the Industrial Revolution. The Industrial Revolution, we had to use physical and we had mental stress around our jobs getting paid and the process we had to do and make sure we didn't make errors. We had an increase in food choices available to us, and foods were presented with what's called preservatives. This was not previously there in foods, but a lot of chemicals got added in this era into our foods so that they could last longer, so that these companies could be profitable. And from there, we went into this world called the tech revolution. And the tech revolution, we became completely sedentary. We just sat at our desks. And we sat at our desks for 8 hours, 9 hours, 10 hours, 11 hours, 12 hours. The more senior and more important you thought you were, the longer you worked. The more you got paid, the more you had to be seen physically static at your place of work. And we didn't take care of ourselves outside of that. So our emotional and mental stress significantly went up. Our physical stress or movement plummeted, but our access to foods has significantly increased, which is right now we can order food by tap of a phone. Guess what's happening? We're entering the AI revolution. In the AI revolution, we don't even have to tap of a phone. We just got to think it, and our brain will be able to order the food that we want, and it's going to come to our desk. And so our physical expenditure of learning how to cook or what to buy or hunter-gatherer is completely plummeting, but our access to sensual, pleasurely foods is going to be so heightened. Darwin's theory of survival, it's not the strongest that survive, but the most adaptable. Now, each of you as human beings have signed up to this program, and now you're looking at, hang on, we all went through there as the human body. We never questioned this, but now I'm on the program. I'm inviting you guys that there's a way you can transform the physiology that you've landed with. You can transform that physiology if you're open to being adaptable. So who is going to be the most adaptable? How many of you are going to take on adapting something around your lifestyle? That's what Darwin said, is going to lead to survival post this generation. So we looked at a macro level. We went from caveman to agrarian revolution, agrarian to industrial, industrial to a completely sedentary lifestyle. Now look at a micro level. I've explained to you at a world level what happened, the world we inherited without questioning it. Now at a micro level, look at our own families. Mom would say, eat this. And by moms, media, and the masses, we're influenced by the 3 M's. By moms, I don't mean literally your mom. I'm not having got your mom. I meant our culture, our upbringing, our tradition. You know, just because it's Christmas, we have to eat a turkey. Just because it's Thanksgiving, we got to do this and get mashed and have alcohol around. Just because it's this in our culture and community, we've got to have these particular items around. We didn't question where they come from. They were just specific to our family, to our particular tribe, to our particular region of the world. We don't know the history as to why those foods were popular, why we do what they did, why on that particular day we did nothing, or that particular day we walked or we fasted or whatever. We didn't question anything. And so I want you to now look at how much we just blindly inherited without questioning. We were told not to question as kids. Just do as you're being told. And then later on, we start to question stuff, and some things are so blindly in our subconscious, we haven't paused to take a look at where did that come from. We're influenced by media. Like right now, there's so much fake news that we get forwarded so many things. Those of you that survived through lockdown would have got 101 potions that can cure COVID in your WhatsApp. Your WhatsApp would have told you 101 things that you can cook and steam and boil and paste and put in you, and you will survive it. And many of us might have said, this is nonsense. And then when we got COVID, we tried it out. So we get so influenced by the media. We get so influenced by the masses. We do what people do. Right? If everybody is going on holiday this time of the year, then we all go on holiday. If everybody's now eating that new drink, then we all go on it. If everyone's now having that new superfood fruit that was discovered in South America, we're all getting onto it and ordering it. We're just influenced by what people do. We don't pause and question what's in it, what value does it add, what difference does it make to me? Let me do the research. And internally, already inside of you, if you move even inward, more from the family level to your own brain and your own limiting beliefs, you have a pre-existing view or relationship to food, view or relationship to exercise or yourself. You grew up thinking, how many of you grew up thinking, all right, my plate is not complete if I don't have a chapati in there? How many of you believe that? Like this, how can this be a meal? There's no chapati. I mean, I would invite my South Indian friends to my place and they'd get offended if there's no rice. And because in their world, by default, you've got to have that, right? So how many of us grew up thinking that's not a complete meal if it doesn't have that? My non-veg friends would come over and say, this is rabbit food, mate. Like, they would come and stay over our place and they couldn't wait to go out to a restaurant so they could order some non-veg to eat because it was an incomplete meal if they ate at ours. Our food was like starters. Okay, cool. So let's have a look at this. This is going to be your assignment. So you can either screenshot this, but I will copy and paste it over to you on WhatsApp. And you're going to put your answers to these 11 questions. And these 11 questions, the first 3 is you're going to write your internal belief. What is it you truly believe about this? What is your current awareness and knowledge of this? I'm not asking you to answer what you think is the right answer or what does the new science say. I'm asking you to write down what's in your brain, take it out of your brain and on a piece of paper or on a mobile phone, write it down. What did you grow up being told or believe every meal or plate must have? My mom would say in passing, you've got to do at least 2 rotis worth of work, which is what she would obviously say to us at a moment when she was angry, annoyed that we've made a mess in the house, we're not cleaning up our toys, and she's telling us to do some work and not be slackers and clean the bloody house up. But because she said that, I made a default thing called everyone needs at least 2 rotis in a day. Mom didn't say that. Mom said, everyone's got to do at least 2 rotis worth of work, 2 chapatis worth of work. But I made a default meaning in my brain called, hey, everybody needs to eat 2 rotis in a day, otherwise we will faint or fall sick or starve. And so I believed we need that in our plate. What foods do you believe are normal to eat? Because we've grown up eating them for generations. In our family, we have a joke that there's this, I call it a spicy muesli. It's called chevro. And in our family, you had to have that every evening about 4 or 5 p.m. with your tea. And whenever a cousin visited us or we went overseas to visit a cousin, the way we would do a DNA test is to see if they would dunk their gatia and chevro in their tea before they ate it and fish it out with a spoon. And that was a test that you're a true sampat. And so we thought that was normal. You've got to eat that. How can we live life without tea time having chevro and gatia? What foods do you believe you cannot give up? Like, how many of you think, yeah, I can give that up and give that up and give that up, but Ronnie, you don't understand my social life. I'm such an important person. I have all these networking events. I have to have a glass of champagne or bubbly. I mean, you have people like the Ambanis and the Hinduja brothers who host politicians and ministers, and they're very successful and celebrities, and they throw parties all the time, but they don't engage in having the alcohol, or they're even vegetarian. How do they manage that? So whatever story you're saying to yourself keeps you where you are. On exercise, what do you believe exercise is? Fill in the blanks. If you think about it, depending on which era and which country you grew up in, if you were in trouble in school, you got given exercise. You got given to clean a particular thing, to maybe mow the lawn, to hold your ears and do squats in the corner of the classroom. So exercise by default was collapsed with a punishment. So some of us went to a gym reluctantly, or we went to sports day reluctantly, because why would I batter myself? We associated the absence of exercise and luxury access to a car or some vehicle as the comfort is associated to a rich and successful life. Why would I want to do the manual alternative? Today, I want to walk places. Previously, I didn't want to walk. I didn't grow up in that kind of thinking. So how do we transform our belief around exercise? First, distinguish what you believe exercise is, complete the blanks. Maybe you already have exercise is fun, exercise is amazing, exercise is healthy. Put that in as well. Just fill in the blanks with whatever adjectives come to mind. Which exercises or sports are hard or impossible for you? What's the exercise you love to hate? What do you believe about you, the human body? Now, these ones I want you to Google. I want you to Google the answer to number 7, Google the answer to number 8, Google the answer to number 9. 7, 8, and 9 by you or the human body. I want you to Google what is the record for how long can the human body go underwater with one breath, right? Or not having an oxygen tank. How long can the human body be there without an oxygen tank? Whatever answer you find, I want you to find out what that is. So you just get amazed how amazing a vessel and vehicle we've been given. This thing can last a long time underwater with one breath. Whether you've discovered how to do it or not is a different story, but I want you to discover how amazing an asset we have here. How long can the human being survive without sleep? What happens if you go past that point? How long can you or the human body survive without food? We've just recently seen in the last month, a couple of people, one guy and his dog on a boat, they got rescued recently after being a number of days at sea. We had people in the Australian outback who got lost somewhere, they got found. We had the kids were the Indonesian kids on a school trip who got stuck in a cave. We had the Chilean miners who didn't plan and they were underground. And some of them went X number of hours without food. They discovered the power of the human body without any training or genetically being gifted or any preparation for it. How did they cope and how did they survive? Right? So I want you to find out how amazing the human body is without food. There's a guy called Mohandas K. Gandhi. Some of you might have heard of him or not, but he did 21 days without food. How did he pull that off? And you want to find out how amazing this human body is. Then number 10, what is it you believe about your body? Like how many of you say, well, I'm heavy boned. I promise you, I used to once be in charge of a crematorium. The following morning, we never found elephant bones where we had cremated a human being. Never happened. There's no such thing as heavy boned. But a lot of us believe that. We believe that we've got supersize thigh bones in us or supersize ribs. Completely not true. We all have the same or similar weight of skeletal structure, but we inherit these verbatim that people say around us called I'm heavy boned. Not true. What is it you say about yourself? I cannot, like I still have some internal conversation around I am not a runner. I've just come back from a run today. I'm preparing for a 10K run that's happening on the weekend. I've been told many times how I cannot run because I'm flat-footed. I've bought into that story for a bit, and now I'm committed to transforming that story. I'm committed to really discovering. I did my first 21K a few weeks ago. This is 8 years after my transformation, my first 21K. And I'm committed to continually debunking these limiting beliefs inside of me. Now, over this program, how we're going to cause your transformation to physical level is we want to bring awareness, talking of awareness to your body. What is underneath your skin, which is your largest organ, is your skin. Underneath your skin, we have fat, we have muscle, and we have bone. How do we transform the fat and the muscle? Through accountability. So as a former accountant, I knew how to do cash flows and P&L projections. And if we had a certain surplus balance here, I knew how to calculate how to bring that deficit down to a certain level. And I took that same knowledge and I brought it to the world of our fat percentage. So each of you want to know, first of all, what is the optimal fat percentage for you? If you're a female, regardless of your age, if you're in your 40s or 60 plus, focus on this number, 21 to 33. We will relate to all the females on this program as, for you, you want to aim for getting between 21 and 33% body fat. So please note what your starting number is so you know how much you have to go to get to your goal. For men, you want to get between 8 and 19%. And you have a range. So we're not telling everybody to get to athletic mode and stay there, because it's not healthy and it's not sustainable to stay there. We are also not doing working on a stage competition or an aesthetic show, right? And by all means you can, but that's not what we're saying optimal health is about. We want you to discover that this thing is a functional vehicle. So there are ways you can measure, is my body still functional for me at an energy level, at a strength level? Can I apply and test my functionality by putting myself in marathons or treks or climbing a mountain or whatever you want to get into, maybe as a sport or activity? Is your vessel functional for you? Is it serving you, or are you now inhibited because you cannot engage in something? So at a body composition level, remember those numbers that you want to get inside the range of. You could also go under them, so females can go under 21, but it's not sustainable. Your body will revert back, and also it impacts your fertility if you're trying to conceive, if you go too under fat. As a male, if you go under fat, that's okay. You can get to an athletic level. It is short-term sustainable. It is perfect for a stage comp or bodybuilding or a photo shoot. But beyond that photo shoot, you want to, you might come back, but you want to stay within at least the healthy range. So how do we do that accountability? We shared earlier, download the apps MyFitnessPal and RunKeeper. I'm going to just cruise through so we can finish the remaining slides in time. On MyFitnessPal, you put in your height, your age, your starting weight, and your target weight. It will then give you how many calories to do. If your calories sound too high for you, please come on a Friday call or share it on the challenge chat, and they will invite you to join a Friday call and you can have a conversation with me. And you want your macros, if it's the first time you're doing a program, 30% of your calories should come from protein, 30% from fat, and 40% from carbs. If you're an Ancora, so you've done this before, we might have worked you up slowly to a certain protein level. If you're somewhere between 40 to 50% and you've come off a challenge in the last 6 months, then stay at that percentage of protein, 30% fat, and 20 to 30% carb, depending on what carb we got you on, and if you aren't yet at optimal. Add me under friends and make sure your diaries sharing is at public, so that if I or any of the team or your coach need to review your MFP entries, they can review it, right? So this is mainly for us to be able to access and give you feedback. If you want feedback on what you've been consuming, recording, and maybe you're like, hey, I keep eating all good stuff. How come I keep blowing my sugar allowance or my carb allowance? And then we can have a look at your diary. RunKeeper, or another app called Strava. So some people might already have Strava. If you're a cyclist, you might be familiar with it. Or RunKeeper, either of those you can use to record your calorie expenditure, how much you burn in a workout or a walk or an exercise. And once you sync these two, what we want you to do is to see if you're creating a deficit, if your goal is fat loss, or a surplus, if your goal is to bulk up. Now, I shared earlier, males and females, please take note of your body fat percentage. For men, actually, earlier we shared 8 to 19, but some charts say 10 to 19. So you can go with either. Just to manage expectations, if you are, say, a female at 40% fat, or you're a female at 50% fat, a healthy amount of fat to lose in 7 days, a really good amount of fat to lose in 7 to 10 days is 1%. If you can lose 1% of body fat, if you're over 19% as a male, if you're over 33% as a female, if you lose 1% of fat in 10 days, you are losing fat at a superb rate. Acknowledge yourself if you're losing 1% every 10 days. If you lose 1% every 7 days, you are like a uber top performer. You're in the top 5% performance of altering your body. And if you don't lose 1% fat in 2 weeks, if you don't lose 1% fat in 2 weeks or 3 weeks, then we just need to look at your numbers. We need to work on looking at what do we need to tweak around your calories, around your steps, around your macros. That's where we work with you on the Friday calls to tweak and update what you need to. Visceral fat, by the way, that you see on your scales is a rating. It's not a percentage. So long you're between 1 and 9, you're good. Even if you're at 9 from beginning to end of the program, but you're over fat, but your visceral is in that range, we're not too concerned. Visceral is the amount of fat that coats and layers your organs. It is harmful if that number is too high, but it's not a percentage, it's just a rating. If it is over 9, then you want to ensure you get it under 9. Then you will, if it's over 9, we have an increased likelihood of susceptibility to have high blood pressure or other underlying conditions. If it is under 9, then we are likely to be off or on our way to be off any underlying conditions. Now, when you set yourself goals, your goals don't have to be only body composition based. As I said earlier, we are functional creatures. I want you to get that your body is a functional tool. So set yourself strength goals. So if you know that, hey, I can currently squat 20 kg, set yourself a goal. By end of the program, I want to squat 40 kg, because you can go from 20 to 40. Anyone in this program that's on 20 can go from 20 to 40. If you're currently squatting 80 kg and you want to get to 100 kg, you can go from 80 to 100 kg by end of this program. If you're currently bench pressing 50 kg and you want to bench press 70 kg by end of the program, you can go from 50 to 70. So set yourself a strength goal, set yourself a speed goal. A speed goal would be, hey, the last time I did 5K, I could only walk it, and I walked 5K in 1 hour, 5 minutes. And now you might have a goal to say, I want to run 5K in under 40 minutes. It's doable. It is doable, but you should know in your mind where you are now and where you want to get to. That's the thing we need to work on. The difference between where you are now and where you want to get to is the delta symbol, which is the FITBANKER A, and that's what we want you to know and get clear for yourself. What's a speed goal you can set for yourself? What is a weight goal as well? You might have a weight goal around your weight, but really we don't judge on your weight. We want to know what is the weight made of, which is the body composition that we look at. Then remember, we spoke earlier about your mind. Your mind's job is to return you to what's familiar, to what's comfortable, the route of least resistance. So often when you're outside of an accountability structure, it's not uncommon that we go back to the old familiar bad habits, the ones that we're comfortable with. The sit in front of Netflix because it's winter, pull out the shawl, have that piece of chocolate, have that particular drink, have another one of those, have another hot chocolate that you have. And that's called self-sabotage. Self-sabotage will also come up in conversation. We are asking you to be answerable and accountable to performance coaches. If this is the second time you're doing this program or the third time you're doing this program, I really want to acknowledge you, because you're somebody that's committed to saying, hang on, there is a formula, it works. Ronnie's been through it. He's 8 years living and owning a transformed physiology and level of energy and strength. This year, I did my personal best on bench press, broke it twice. I got for my first 3 rep max of 100 kg bench press. And now I've gotten to a 7 rep max. I've gotten to 7 reps unassisted or 6 reps unassisted. And I'm hopefully soon, I'm going to get to my 10 rep max of 100 kg bench press. It's something I've wanted to do from when I was a teenager. And 8 years through my program, I hadn't done it. And I've done it this year, right? So we can always discover a whole new realm to get into if we keep looking at what's my blocker, what's my limiting belief, what do I now believe about me that's fixed. Right from your introduction to webinar 1, we're saying what you believe about you is not true, but it limits you. So that introduction of your peak and your low are your limiting factors. So you will say stuff like, I get too busy, I'd love to do that, but that gym is costly or the supplements are costly. Trust what we're asking you to do because it's stuff that works. We're not affiliated to any brand, or we're not going to push or promote any specific product. We are going to give you the science and tell you how to make your own choices of what are the best things to consume and why we're asking you to have that supplement or go to that particular gym and try out that concept. Sometimes we'll ask you to go and try out a class with that studio as a pattern interrupt to your regular type of training. You might get bored of something. Getting bored is a form of self-sabotage. Over-rewarding yourself, which means you go to the gym, you smash out 300 calories, and then you go to Starbucks and you have 800 calories worth of blueberry muffin and frappuccino. Or you might seek instant gratification. A lot of us do this based on how we feel, and we smashed something like a trek, a hike, a workout. We collapse certain foods with reward. Like pizza and pasta to me was called reward. Ice cream is called reward. Chocolate is called reward. So I have those foods to give me after I've smashed something. Sometimes that one reward wipes out everything I just did. And then I keep thinking that bloody gym doesn't work, or that PT doesn't work, or this program doesn't work. No, it's that reward thing that we did. We over-rewarded ourselves. We're not actually rewarding ourselves. We're sabotaging ourselves. So sometimes what we think is a reward is a sabotage, right? And how do you give up something? If you give up something where we just tell you avoid it, that's called suppression. It's not sustainable. At some point in time, that thing you're trying to push down will erupt. And that's why sometimes people do a program, they get to peak state, and then when they volley back up, they go past where they started, they go beyond that. Because you were doing suppression. Replace suppression with sublimation. Sublimation means I know why I'm avoiding that, because I'm committed to being a flippin' fit dad. I'm committed to racing with my kids when they get into their peak athletic age of 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, or 17. I want to make sure I'm outrunning them, I'm out climbing them, I can still lift my body weight. I would love to do that when they're at that age. And so that's what I say to myself, why I'm avoiding consuming foods or getting into habits or circles that will take me back to the old unsustainable me. I just want to acknowledge, guys, we're about a minute away. We might be a few more minutes over the 2-hour mark. We did start a few minutes late as we're waiting for everybody in. I just want to, so if you can stay on for another 5-6 minutes after 8:30 UK time, it'll be great for you. If you need to drop, I understand, and you can watch the remaining few minutes on catch up, but it will make a difference if you stay till the last slide. So if you're the first time doing this program, what are the phases of the program? Firstly, we want you to see if you can do something for 21 days. Can you do 21 days of habit? So have you done your 10,000 steps already for the first 4 days? If you have, can you do 17 more? Can you pull off a streak of 21 days? Have you done this week, say 4 days of resistance training, or are you on track to do 4? Can you continue that? So whatever you do, we want you to do something that's new to you, that's outside your familiar. It could be that you're doing 21 days of having smoothies. You've never had smoothies every day as a breakfast replacement. I think so. I saw one of you post about your smoothies and you tagged me on social media. And if you've started to have your smoothies, can you do it for 21 days straight? That I can have that smoothie in place of my normal breakfast, which I normally had, which was my Wheat Bix or my oats or whatever it is, even if it's not bad what you used to have for breakfast, like you're having eggs. Imagine if you just had the smoothies for 21 days. Can you pull it off? I'd love to see if you can. So you want to discover if you can, and if you do something for 21 days, use hashtag 21 days on each day that you're posting about it. If it's on social media, you can tag me if you want to. And if you slip up on any day, don't worry, we don't hit reset. You just continue from the following day. So if you did a 4-day streak and you slipped up on day number 5, on day number 6, count that as your 5th day. On day number 7, that's your 6th day, and so on. Phase 2 is customization. So customization happens on the Friday calls, where you want to say, hey, Ronnie, I've been doing this. Are my calories correct? Should I change my protein? Should I adjust my carbs? Please come on Friday to get your custom feedback on that. And leadership is, like I said, right from now. Somebody shared earlier, and I was like, you make great potential as a leader, and you should find out about a coaching body. You should find out about the leadership opportunities within FITBANKER. And those are generally 3 phases. And outside of the 90 days, there's what we call seasonality. So if you're doing this program in summer, the moment it comes to winter and you're in London and you go to Winter Wonderland and you smell that mulled wine, you'll be like, oh, I cannot not have mulled wine. I'm in Winter Wonderland, for God's sake, and Ronnie's not watching. I might as well just have 1 glass of mulled wine, and then it becomes 8, and then you have 2 takeaway bottles of mulled wine. And then you realize, damn, you went off track, and hey, you know what? It's December. I might as well start taking on my health next year. And that's called self-sabotage. So seasonality is, can you take your health on across different seasons? It's why we recommend doing 3 challenges back to back. Some of you are already on your 2nd, some of you on your 3rd streak together, and some people have done it longer. And some people are coming back having done only 1 and realizing that they volleyed back out. And some of you might have done a program somewhere else and you got to peak state. And then after you got out of that program, you volleyed back up. And what we want you to do is to get through seasonality so you can move it from conscious to subconscious. Your comfort zone is where you are, and where the magic happens is where you don't honor your mind. You discover that your mind is not you. Your mind is a muscle that's offering you some suggestions, but you can transcend your mind. You can conquer your mind. And so we'll explain this a bit more as we get into mind-body webinars and other webinars. And next week we'll look at what do we think or call that person is disciplined, that person is strong-minded. Please show me, if we went and did a blood test of that person, what reading are you pointing at that tells you they're strong-minded or disciplined? Please show me what is in your DNA, Gurpreet or Tina or Nandita or Misha or Kelly or Janki or Birol or Ria or Ollie, that says you have something in you called disciplined, or somebody else has that thing called disciplined and you don't. Please show me what that is. There is no such thing other than you being at the effect of a support structure, which is this accountability body. Those of you that are anchoring, if you've already done 747 in a prior challenge, you've already had a certain number of steps that you've nailed. For this particular program, we're introducing a couple of things. We want you to increase your step count, especially if you've just come off another challenge, or if any of you were already doing 10,000 steps, we invite you to increase your step count by about 25 or 30%. So go to 12,500 steps or 13,000 steps and try to do a streak of 30% more than what you were previously or already doing. Those of you that are used to 10,000 steps a day, but now you get really annoyed where 2 days in a row you've only done 6,000 steps and you get annoyed with yourself, create for yourself a weekly goal. Create for yourself a weekly number. So if the weekly number is 70,000 steps, you might want to increase that one by 25% if you're anchoring. Or maybe create a distance goal, which is, yeah, I always do my 10,000 steps, but now I want to aim for 50 kilometers. So can I walk 50 kilometers or jog 50 kilometers? Or if it's cycling, can I cycle 100 kilometers in a week, right? If you're already an avid cyclist. And then we're going to talk about push weeks. And push weeks for an Ancora is week 3 of this program. So remember, this is week 1. For the first 2 weeks, go on your norm. And if you cannot do throughout the whole program elevated by 25 or 30% because time may not permit or you might be getting fatigued, then use push weeks. So week 3, week 5, week 8, week 10, and week 13 is where you want to, we want to cycle your level of effort. So you stay at 10,000 steps, then for those weeks, you aim for 13,000 steps. Then you come back to 10,000 steps. So it allows a little bit of recovery for your body and we don't cause burnout. On those push weeks, you can also go from 747 to 767. And the third phase is leadership, as mentioned earlier, and seasonality applies outside of each challenge. Those of you that want the meet and greet, we introduced what we call a theme called extreme. What does being extreme look like as an Ancora? If you're a first-time FitBanker, you should close your ears because we don't want you to do anything extreme. It might be scary, it might be daunting. So what does extreme look like as an Ancora? By extreme is, how can you say to yourself, what does unmessable look like to me, Ronnie? How can I be really unmessable? My self-sabotage is nuts. If I see nuts around, I can't stop at 40 grams. I stop at about 200 grams. And then maybe I go again after that, right? So to me, extreme would be going a week without nuts. I love nuts. To go a week without nuts would be a big thing for me. And be kind with yourself. If you slip up, don't beat yourself. Don't take yourself completely off. I shared earlier about the power of sharing. I won't go through this much more, but you want to be sharing the steps that you take. Reminder that a coach is just guiding you through a journey they've been. Your coach does not necessarily have to have a six-pack. They may or may not have a six-pack, but they're taking you through 90 days of program that they have done to some level of completion, not 100% and not perfect, but they avoided the temptations and they will tell you how to avoid temptations, and they've tried their best to do 747. That's what your coach is doing. Your coach is just a guide, but the steps that they took up Mount Kilimanjaro, the path that they used won't be the exact steps that you take, but they have a general sense of direction. That's what a coach is doing. They're giving you a general sense of direction. And as they're giving you a general sense of direction, if they keep finding you self-sabotage, they will dig deeper with you and they'll look at if you have some underlying emotional volatility. That underlying emotional volatility, they will say, hey, why don't you get on a Friday call and speak to Ronnie about that? Or have you heard of this person called Ambika? She runs this program called Healthy Relationships. Maybe you need to find out about that. And If we find there is something that you have not transformed, that keeps coming up for you, there's ongoing guilt or shame because you're secretly smoking, or you're secretly doing this, or you're secretly doing some form of self-sabotage, and you're feeling guilty or ashamed about that, it might cause what's called emotional volatility. And we will explain how that makes us turn to cravings, that makes us turn to some form of addiction. But there's some underlying emotional source, and we work on this program on the source of stuff. So if your coach detects that, they might ask you to speak to another coach, or Ambika or myself, to have a conversation with you. But they're trained to look out for something like that showing up. On that note, guys, we're about to wrap up. These are your webinar 1 assignments. The first one you're going to do is we invite you to tell at least 10 people, let 10 people in your world know that you're working on your health. You do not have to say that you're doing the FitBanker challenge if you don't want to, but you can tell 10 people in your life that you are working on your health for the next 90 days. So if you're inviting me out for drinks, or you're inviting me over to your place, please forgive me, pardon me if I'm not participating in the alcohol, if I'm not eating the fried stuff, if I'm not having XYZ, if I'm not coming for our Karoga night or our lads night out or our pub night out. You can let 10 people know. And you can let 10 people know by WhatsApp message. You can post it on Facebook. You can put it on social media. The wider you share, the more people you let know that you're working on your health, the more you'll create a new perception listening of you. We will talk about this later on, but there is a guy called, what's his name? Cooley, Charles Horton Cooley, who basically says, I'm not who you think I am. I'm not who I think I am who I think you think I am, which is we exist inside of a perception of a perception. And he was a sociologist, and he said, mostly we're a function of what we think society expects of us. But we can flip that engineering by projecting to the world what we want to be. So you tell the world, I now want to be healthy, and they will expect of you healthy habits and activities. And then it will completely make sense, and you will conform to what they expect to see of you. You're going for walks, you're having smoothies, you go to the gym, and then they will say, hey, Janki, tell me about that amazing thing that you're doing. And they'll ask you, should I get this supplement for this, that, the other? And suddenly Janki will become the pro, and Krupa will be the pro, and Emma will be the pro, and Lisa will be the pro. And that's how people will turn to you, and they'll be like, I need your advice on XYZ. How did you do that? Right? And you have Carol, who's here as a coach, and she's inspired many people in their life because they've just seen Carol transform and sustain. Like, that's an example of being a leader and ambassador out there. The second one is go into your pantry, your kitchen, your cupboards, and anything that's there that is a FitBanker forbidden food, the inflammatory foods. You're going to take your phone and you're going to do either a video recording. You can do a Facebook Live on FitBanker Campus if you wish. You don't have to do this publicly. Or you can just do before and after pictures. Take out everything from there, put it on the counter, take a photo, and then you can put them in these amazing, nice black bin bags and give them away or chuck them. If they just please your tongue, but they're a disservice for the rest of your body and your mind, why would you put them in you? Like, we wouldn't put grease in our body. We wouldn't drink diesel because we've got enough evidence to believe that that doesn't add value to us. But somehow a lot of this other stuff that is greasy, that has non-natural stuff that won't be broken down by our stomach acids, we keep putting in us. Why do we do that? So we want you to take a photo or video of a before after. And we have some amazing, if you guys go into FitBanker Campus, there's one guy who did a Facebook Live, took us around his house and pulled out all these forbidden foods, then moved his coffee table and there was a piece of pizza there, then moved his couch and there was some chocolate underneath there and there were biscuits underlying there. And all this junk started to come out from his place, and he realized how unhealthy a lifestyle he had because it was always around him. If it's in your environment, when you're emotionally volatile and you have cravings, you will make the wrong choice. If it's not in your environment and all that's around you is hummus, dips, and carrots, you will probably go for those, right? So it might be better to have better, healthier options around you. And the third one is copy and paste those limiting beliefs, those 11 ones, and put your answers to them and share on the chat. As an Ancora, you want to answer these 5 questions, which is, what is it you did really well in your first challenge or first few challenges? What was easy peasy for you? You need to distinguish it, get it out of your head, because you might not continue doing what you now might take for granted, like recording on MFP. You might stop doing that because you're like, hey, I got that, that's easy. And then That might be the source of your self-sabotage. What did you not do by design? And what is your predictable and expected self-sabotage? What do you know that when I see nuts, I'm going to have 300 grams of them? Or if I see ice cream, I'm going to have that. Or if I see chips and fries, I need to have those. It's my staple food, according to my dad. What is your pet peeve or the most annoying thing of the challenge? Please type that out, write that down. So you know that if I get 526 WhatsApp messages tomorrow morning, I get really annoyed and I'm like, guys, I'm leaving this chat. You need to distinguish it before it shows its head. What would be one aspect of the challenge you can do so diligently or to an extreme level? Like, I can do 6 days of going to the gym, Ronnie, watch me. I don't want anyone here to do 7 days of the gym. It's not healthy. You need 1 rest day a week minimum. And for some people, you need 2 days of rest a week. So I'm going to ignore that last one and I will end up on this quote, which is a wrap up of today. Uncle Steve says this: when you grow up, you tend to get told to eat what's in your plate, that the world is the way it is. And your life is just to live your life inside the world, go to university, get an amazing job that all your uncle and aunties congratulate you for, from passing from that university, working for that company, getting that salary, buying your first house, and then your second, having a baby. Try to have a nice family life, have fun, save a little money. That's a very limited life, guys. Life can be much broader once you discover one simple fact. Everything around you, including the foods that get offered in restaurants, that you call life, was just made up by people that were no smarter than you. And today, guys, we're in a world where we can start to invent healthy foods, healthy restaurants, healthy drinks. We have access to be able to be the change that we want to see in the world. You can change it, you can influence it, and once you learn that, you and the world will never be the same again. Uncle Steve. On that note, it's a wrap of webinar 1. Thanks, guys, for staying on. We've gone slightly over, and thank you for staying on if you did. We're now going to stop the recording. If anyone has any questions, please do ask.